Welcome to Rock Talks. Today we're talking to Jens from Iotunn, a new progressive metal band from Denmark. We discuss their new album Access All Worlds, working with the legendary producers Fredrik Nordström and Flemming Rasmussen, and being signed to Metal Blade Records. Hello Jens, welcome to Rock Talks. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great, how are you?
Also, just enjoying my holidays.
Nice. So let's talk about your band Iotunn. We were talking about that earlier. For everybody out there who's watching this interview, the right pronunciation of this new band by Metal Blade is Iotunn, not Lotun. So to start, please tell me, what does this word Iotunn means?
It means giants. It's an Old Norse word, Iotunn, and the Jotuns are the giants in the Northern mythology.
Oh,
so that's basically what it means.
Mm-hmm. So is there a relation between this giant and your music?
I think so. Of course, sometimes we express ourselves on the more epic scales, and I find that well suiting with the band name. Also, for us, there's a good or fine connection between how our creative process tends to be and the meaning of Jotuns in the context to the Northern mythology, where the Jotuns, at least you could say, creates a bit of chaos here and there. So the band name represents for us the madness and the chaos when we are in our creative zone.
The writing process of your music.
Yeah.
I got the chance to listen, not to watch, to listen your album Access All Worlds, right? That's the name, and it was released in last February, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like a mix between maybe melodic death metal and progressive metal, right? But also, I noticed that there is something special about the sound of this band. It doesn't sound like a typical progressive metal band. Can you explain, please?
I can try. I think the first thing, as you mentioned, is that the process for this band to evolve and become what it is now has taken several years.
Mm-hmm.
So within this band, we have 10 plus years of experience now in just creating and writing music. So I would say that our creative machinery is pretty well oiled, which means that every time, for instance, when my brother Jesper or I, we grab a guitar, we always write, and there's never a shortage of ideas. So Access All Worlds is a result of many years of writing and creating. So if you have 100 ideas on Access All Worlds, you can be sure that there is thousands of ideas that is thrown in the dumpster. And also it's important to mention that we are basically we don't listen to all kinds of music, but I would say we listen to a lot of different music, and we especially listen a lot to metal rock and prog rock and soundtrack scores and classical music and stuff like that.
Can you mention a few bands that influenced you? on during this writing process?
That's difficult because on one hand you can be inspired in such a way that you are not in your expression very far from that other band you are inspired by. And other bands, you might not sound as those bands, but they are inspiring to you because of the way they work or the way that they seem, honest and respectful about their craftsmanship and stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's difficult. Many reviewers have already mentioned a bunch of bands and artists in relation to our debut album, and surely I hear some of the Norwegian progressive sound in our music, or Scandinavian. When metal bands in Scandinavia, they go progressive, they find very interesting balances between I would say hard rock expressions with extreme metal, combined with extreme metal, with the melodies on the top and a lot of atmosphere thrown in there also. So that movement, I would say, we are very much inspired by. Other than that, I would say some of our colleagues, other musicians from other bands, are very inspiring to us in terms of how to find the right mindsets when you're working in a band, and how to be more at ease and more relaxed when you write music, and you take it all. You don't work with high ideals that later on will disappoint you in mind. You work from the ground, so to speak. Relax, sit tight, and just write some stuff, and then not. And from there on, it's not so much about analyzing the stuff that you have written or about to write. It's basically just a matter of listening and figuring out if you like what you hear, and also it's important to make sure that you can feel the music, that it's something that appeals to emotions.
So did you mention a few minutes ago that there is actually a progressive Norwegian metal scene? Because most people would know about Norway is the black metal scene, right?
Yes. Yes, but during the 90s and basically since then, so many bands have just went into total hybrid mode, where there's no. I get the feeling that there's no rules. They are just totally freely expressing themselves, but without losing touch to
the roots,
to the roots, to that Norwegian, if you can say that Norwegian sound that came back in the late 80s and early 90s. So, and the question for us is, because we don't want to copy anybody. We want to stand on our own feet. So we are in the creative process. We are very aware that we are not, putting someone else's suits on, so to speak. We have to express ourselves from our own ground, and from the real world that we live in. So,
you tell me that this first album, Access All Worlds, took you guys like 10 years to write the songs, to develop all these unique sound. And my question is, do you think it will be difficult for you to create the second album, since the label is not gonna let you take another 10 years?
Yes, when I say 10 years, I mean that 10 years back we started out, but from a total different perspective and with a whole nother musical expression. So the stuff that is to be found on the Access All Worlds album, and the ideas on that album, I would say the oldest idea of that album, they go back to 14 or 15. So the first 5 years of this band's existence were about exploring and finding our feet. So I wouldn't say it's 10 years for this album, but 4 or 5 years maybe.
Right.
The second album is not. I don't think the second album will be that difficult for us, because it's basically already written.
Oh, nice.
We have all the compositions for the instrumentals for the instruments are almost there. So we have I think 80 pretty solid songs to
18.
Eight
right.
8 songs to work on, and we just have to get Iotunn into to this second album process, and I'm very sure that it will be of a high quality. And as I said, we write all the time, so we have a bunch of lots of ideas for the third album also.
Looking into the future already. But since also you have plenty of time, because there is no touring for the pandemic. Right?
Yeah, yes.
So you got the chance to work with Fredrik Nordström in this first album, right? This legendary producer from Sweden, who's very well known for working with melodic death metal bands for the past 20 plus years. So how was the experience to work with Fredrik on this first album with Iotunn?
It was awesome. It worked out very well, and we are very happy about the end result. We considered going different places, but when we brainstormed what we wanted this album to sound like, in theory, all we saw was problems or troubles ahead, because we wanted a production that looked into the future, but at the same time was modern and also looked back, and we wanted the album to be very atmospheric and an album that sonically creates a lot of space and room above your head, but also an album that has a lot of gravity to the production, a very hard-hitting and heavy production at the same time. And we also liked the album to be cold and warm at the same time, so that it has this northern feeling to it, but at the same time, because of the gravity to the sound, it kind of catches you might say universal sound, or something that reaches beyond Scandinavia. So there's a lot of contrasts there.
Yeah.
So how do you?
It sounds almost like you're describing a drug.
Yeah.
To me, that this first album sounds like a really crazy journey, like a really crazy experience, because it has all these up and downs, right? Really atmospheric, really heavy at times, really melodic at other times. So it must be a very hard work to put all those ideas together and make it a cohesive thing at the end.
Yes. Also, also with the production, the album is also very layered. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you have to be able to hear sometimes 5 different things very clearly: drums, bass, 2 different guitars, and the vocals. So it's at times it's pretty complex. So with that in mind, and we knew a lot of Fredrik's works, we believed that Fredrik would be the man who could make all our wishes. Yeah, make our wishes come true, and that he would be able to connect all the dots. So that's why the complexity of our visions made that we went to Fredrik, because we believed he could manage it.
It was a great choice for you guys. So I think for your first EP, you got the chance to work with Flemming Rasmussen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure for everybody who's watching this interview, this name maybe sounds a little familiar, but of course, he was a producer for the first 3 Metallica albums, right? Or at least Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, if I'm correct.
I think I think he mixed Ride the Lightning, and he was the engineer and producer on Master of Puppets and Justice for All.
Oh, and Justice for All also. All right.
Yes.
Even better.
Yeah.
No, not the mixing, the producing stuff, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
This, of course, Flemming Rasmussen worked with some other thrash metal bands, during the years. But Iotunn is not a thrash metal band. So how did you get the idea to work with him during the early days of Iotunn?
We actually before we recorded the Wizard Falls album, we recorded an entire album in 2012 and 13, and that was before Iotunn was named Iotunn. And I think in some ways Flemming heard that album and found interest in working with us, and so we just so we
you contacted him.
Yeah, exactly. And but that album we didn't release that album. It was not good enough. But so he was always he was our first choice for the EP, and we were really excited about what he could do with his skills with that kind of music that was on the EP, and I think it was a very good collaboration. It turned out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Is there any touring plans for this year or maybe 2022 already?
Yes, I can't tell yet. I'm sorry about that, but it's we are in the planning mode, so everything is being planned right now. So I can say that we are planning something very exciting, but
for this year?
No, for 22.
Oh, for 22.
Right. But we also have a few gigs planned for autumn this year. But as I said, we are in the planning phase right now, so I can't promise anything before it's official.
Yeah, it's great maybe to wait for the actual thing to happen in order to talk about it, because if you talk in this case the touring plans before they actually happen, you're gonna jinx it, and it's bad luck. So don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe you can't say any names, but for me at least, it will be maybe a bit difficult to find some bands that can go with Iotunn on tour, since your sound is really different from other bands, right?
Yeah, I look at I would like to flip the coin and take another approach. I think for the reason that we are kind of all over the map, I think we could go out with almost anybody.
Nice.
And to my experience, if it's on a festival or it's a concert downtown, and you have to listen to a line of bands, I think the more difference there is between the bands, the better the concert experience.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Totally.
Yeah.
So did you get the chance to tour with some other bands in the past before Metal Blade signed you?
No, we didn't. We didn't go on tours as such on the EP cycles. We played a whole bunch of shows, but it was
some local shows, festivals, maybe in Europe.
A couple of festivals and a whole bunch of club shows and different. I think we had one gig in Norway, and we also played a gig with the Norwegian band Arcturus in.
Yeah, I know the band.
Yeah, in 2017 also. So I think there were a bunch of really good gigs, but of course with the new lineup and this album, we can't wait to get this new stuff out on the stage.
Yeah, you have to play live, man. Otherwise, you're gonna keep doing more studio albums.
Yeah.
Yeah, this damn pandemic. Well, to close this interview, since you are pretty much a new band, despite all your history, your time writing this music, doing these shows, these festivals, this great experience with legendary producers, how would you describe the opportunity to work with such a label like Metal Blade?
It's a perfect match for us. When we had the Finnish master for Access All Worlds, we really wished for being a Metal Blade artist. Also, Iounn, our singer, he signed there with his other band Hamferd. And
what name? What, please? Sorry.
Iounn, our singer, he sings in Hamferd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to check that out. It's a beautiful music.
What kind of music is it?
It's doom metal, basically, but with a lot of significant and original twists to it.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And but Metal Blade, everybody we've been talking to only has praising words for Metal Blade, and we really wished for Metal Blade, and Iounn, he sent them our album in last spring, and they just replied immediately and said, "This is really good. Let's negotiate." And so we started negotiating, and during the summer, and by August we landed on the same page and signed. And this deal this record deal is for 3 records. So
nice.
Yeah,
it's a really good deal for nowadays. Right.
We're happy. We are very happy. And so far it's been a great experience, and they are awesome to work together with.
Yeah, and it must be an honor to be among all these legendary bands such as Cannibal Corpse, Armored Saint, Artillery, and some others. You're in the same label with the heavyweights.
Yeah. There's so many talented bands and legends packed in there. That's for sure. Yeah.
Congratulations. So let's look forward into the future for great tours, more great reviews, and hopefully maybe you can arrange some. Not you, your team, of course. You can arrange some South American tour.
That is something that we definitely want to do, and hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. I think you will be Iotunn will be a good match for festivals down here, because here in South America, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, even Peru, they like to do these mixed up festivals with heavy metal dance, thrash metal, death metal, progressive metal. It's like all over the place, which is great for the experience of live music, for listeners.
Yes, that would be awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, James. It's been a pleasure. Really nice to meet you. And like I said, looking forward to the future. Good luck.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye. You too.